Hello? Ah, there we go. Okay. Hello, everyone. Hi. All right, welcome to JordanCon 5. My name is Lee Butler, and I
forgot to give you this and this.
why are you giving me this?
In case you know, I meant to give it to you before. I'm really sorry. But in case you need it.
Thank you. Okay.
Is that an enema?
All right. It's an ice pack.
It's an ice one.
Okay.
In case you need it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. I'll just put that right here.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, if you need it, I'm just happy to help.
Okay.
I'm here for you.
Okay. Thanks. You can go sit down now. Okay. Right. Okay. So anyway, as I was saying, I will be your Toastmaster for the duration, and as such, I have a number of people to introduce you to.
Okay, guys, bring it in. Bring it in. Come on. Watch out, dude.
Hey, guys.
Come on. I am helping you.
Guys.
Pick that up.
Guys.
Pick it up.
Hello.
This guy anyway.
People.
Okay.
Hi. Guys. What are you doing?
Props.
I didn't ask for any props.
Yeah, you did.
No, I really didn't.
You did.
What is this?
It's a desk.
I have a podium right here. I don't need a desk.
You said you needed a desk. Yeah, you said it.
No, I didn't say that. Did someone say that I needed a desk?
He was people.
Right, and why would I need a desk exactly?
Oh, so you can do this.
Okay, you guys know that when I say on my blog that I'm head desking, that I am not actually slamming my head into my desk, right?
But you have an audience here. This is light it up. Now, special effects. Special editions.
This is your doing, isn't it?
I would never. But if you do, and I really, we think that should you need to jazz things up a little bit, we are here for you. And if you happen to hurt your head, I just want you to know I am okay to take over. That's fine. And I am here for you.
Wow, you guys really put the B in subtle, didn't you? Well, you're all despicable people. Thank you. Go sit down. A round of applause, please, for JordanCon's previous Toastmasters, Jason Denzel, Matt Hatch, Richard Weiss, and Melissa Code. Now get off my stage. Okay, I'm keeping the ibuprofen, by the way. All right, so as I was saying, I'm Lee Butler, and since 2009, I have been conducting the Wheel of Time reread on tour.com, which I have been doing a chapter-by-chapter recap and commentary on, you guessed it, the Wheel of Time. And also, now available as ebooks from your preferred online retailer. Excuse me. Anyway, so when I was invited to be this year's Toastmaster at JordanCon, I was initially a little bit at a loss for what I could do for the opening ceremonies that hadn't been done already, especially since I suck at poetry. I don't own a talking cane, and I'm pretty sure that if I try to reenact the entire Wheel of Time plot again, I will be thrown out of the con. In fact, I would probably throw myself out of the con, because no. So I racked my brains for a while, and eventually I figured that it would probably be best if I went ahead and played to my strengths. Therefore, with no further ado, I give you... Right? Okay. So everybody settle in, because we've got a lot of ground to cover, and I tend to be kind of verbose. Ramble, go on tangents, forget what I was saying by the end of the sentence. Right. So I'd like to start by taking you all back into the mists of 2009. When a girl with a wig and a dream flew down to Atlanta for her very first JordanCon. What?
You can't do a JordanCon reread.
What do you mean I can't? This is my thing. I'm doing my thing.
Honey, we have a whole convention to get through here. We don't have this time.
But Jennifer, pretty please?
No.
But why?
Because I said so.
Fine. A round of applause, please, for our esteemed convention chair, the woman responsible for this whole thing, and especially one of the coolest people in Dena, Jennifer Liang. And I guess she's got a point. I mean, what kind of moron spends, years and years recapping, commenting on... Wait. Right, good idea. Okay. By the way, for those of you who do not read my blog and therefore have no idea what any of that was about, rest assured that it was freaking hilarious. And don't worry, it's over now. So as I was saying, welcome to JordanCon 2013. A JordanCon unique in the long and illustrious history of JordanCons, all 5 of them, because for the very first time, we are celebrating an epic fantasy series which is, at long last, complete. In light of that, I cannot go any further without first introducing the wonderful team of people responsible for making this happen. Please give a hand to the amazing members of Team Jordan: Brandon Sanderson, Harriet McDougall, Alan Ramonchuk, Maria Simmons, and Peter Alston. Please join myself and Team Jordan right here in this room at Great Oaks at 4 p.m. tomorrow for the Memory of Light panel, the content of which should be fairly self-explanatory. Because just because this series is complete doesn't mean we have a lot of Wheel of Time. We don't have a lot of Wheel of Time stuff to talk about, right? To that end, in addition to the main Memory of Light panel, we have the World of the Wheel track of panels, which includes a trivia contest at 2:30 today, and Watt speed friending at 5:30, which I'm told is like speed dating but actually fun. In addition to many other panels discussing pretty much everything you could want regarding the Wheel of Time. We even have on Saturday a panel which is spoiler-free up to book 7 for those of you who may not have read the whole series but still want to participate in the discussion. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and please do give a hand to Serenla, aka Jennifer Hallman, the director of the World of Wheel track. Where is she? The World of the Wheel track is, of course, far from the only thing we have going on this weekend, but before I get to the other tracks, since I've already got this seriously fabulous work of art up here, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our very esteemed artist guest of honor, Michael Whalen. If you could, where is he? Right here. As probably pretty much everyone in this room knows, Mr. Whalen has been for over 3 decades one of the world's most premier fantasy and science fiction artists, and is by far the most honored artist in his field, with an unprecedented 15 Hugo Awards to his name, as well as 3 World Fantasy Awards, and is the recipient of the Super Hugo as the best artist of the last 50 years. He has created artwork for self-renowned authors as Isaac Asimov, I got an example of these. Anne McCaffrey, very good one. Arthur C. Clarke, and many, many others, including, of course, our own Brandon Sanderson. For his Stormlight Archive series, which the second novel, Words of Radiance, is scheduled for release later this year, correct?
Nice.
Yes. And as a Wheel of Time fan, I think I speak for everyone here when I say that in the wake of Dauro Sweet's untimely passing, we are honored that Mr. Whalen helped make the conclusion of the Wheel of Time series the amazing work it is, and we are privileged to have him here with us this weekend. Thank you. Mr. Whalen will be participating in several panels over the weekend, including The Art in the Wheel, today at 2:30 in Goulding C, the Michael Whalen Retrospective, tomorrow at 2:30 in Barrington, and Art of the Stormlight Archives, Sunday at 1 in Goulding C, as well as 3 different coffee clutches today, Saturday, and Sunday. The coffee clutches, by the way, are available on a first-come, first-served basis. There were sign-up sheets for them at registration, so if there might still be spaces available, so if you can go check there if you didn't sign up for them.
I'm going to be heavily caffeinated by the time.
Yes, you will. But getting back to Les Artistes, Mr. Whalen is not alone here at JordanCon, and to tell you a little more about that, I would like to introduce you to a very special guest, the Honorable Swan Sanchez Sedai.
The White Tower welcomes you to the second annual JordanCon Art Show and also the 5th JordanCon. The Emerald Seat has deemed this a special event, a holiday. Chores will continue as usual. Attend. The art show and the dealer's hall are open during the same hours. Novices will therefore find it easy to remember. The art show silent auction ends at 5 p.m. on Saturday. 10% of all proceeds benefit the Mayo Clinic. All are expected to participate. Accepted and other initiates who wish to bid must do so before the 5th bell on Saturday. After that point, the sisters will be putting a keeping on the bids to ensure there's no tampering. I see you. By special dispensation of the Amerlin, you are allowed to buy any remaining unsold art Sunday morning in honor of the holiday. All initiates are also expected to vote for the art show's People Choice Awards before 5 p.m. Saturday. Report to the art show to obtain your ballots and find out how to correctly complete your ballot. Any initiates who do not do so during the allotted time will be gutted and hung out to dry like a kitten. I see you. There will be signings and other events in the art show this weekend outside of main programming. You can find more information on the scheduled events at the art show desk. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Aes Sedai, for limiting your fish metaphors in that announcement to 1. And let's please also give a very big hand to our art show directors, April Moore and Paul Bielaczyc. Also, out of respect for our artists, please note that there is no photography allowed at the art show, but elsewhere as you will. Of course, they say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. But here at JordanCon, we kind of really like words. Millions of words, even. And not just the words of the Wheel of Time. Therefore, it is my very special honor to introduce to you JordanCon 5's author, guest of honor, Shauna McGuire. Shauna, there you go. Ms. McGuire is the award-winning author of several series of novels, including her urban fantasy October Day series, for which she won the John W. Campbell Award for Best New Writer in 2010. She has also published under the pseudonym Miro Grant the very popular Museflesh trilogy, Feed, Deadline, and Blackout. Blackout has been nominated for Best Novel for the 2013 Hugo Awards, and her novella, San Diego 2014, The Last Stand of the California Browncoats, has been nominated for Best Novella. In addition to that, she has been nominated for 3 other Hugo Awards this year, 2 for Best Novelette and 1 for Best Fan Cast, which means that she is in fact the first person to ever be nominated for 5 Hugos in 1 year. I think you can agree that's pretty darn cool. So if you can, please do join myself and Shannon today at 2:30 right here for an hour with the guest of honor. She will also be doing signings tomorrow at 2:30 and a coffee clutch Sunday at 11:30, both in the boardroom, as well as participating in several of the panels on our writer's track. Because as it turns out, we have a writer's track, which is also very cool. But before we talk about that, I did want to announce, I'm sure most of you have heard, but one of our scheduled authors, David Farland, will not be joining us at the convention. Unfortunately, his son, Ben Wolverton, was recently involved in a very serious accident which has left him in a coma, though at last report his condition was improving. Therefore, the JordanCon Board of Directors has voted unanimously to donate the entire proceeds of our annual charity auction on Saturday night to the Wolverton family to help offset Ben's extremely high medical bills, so please do keep that in mind. You can also donate directly to his medical fund by going to gofundme.com/Ben's Recovery. So please, let's all keep Ben and his family in our thoughts. Now to tell you more about the writer's track, I would like to introduce to you the lovely and talented and very bearded Mr. Richard Fife.
Thank you, Lee. It says something for a friend when she's trying to say nice things about you, and to get to 3, she has to mention your beard. Yeah, I know. I'm surprised you even got the 2. So anyway, Lee told me I have to keep this to the short version. So as she said, we like to write, and I'm the writer, and so I'm going to try and cut this down as fast as I can. Very exciting year for the writer's track this year. Lots of really good panels. As Lee said, we have the author guest of honor hours right after this panel at 2:30. We also have lots of guests, like Brandon Sanderson here. We also have Eugene Foster, Jana Oliver, Emily Bush returning. New authors this year are John Hartness, Anthony Taylor, Delilah S. Dawson, Stuart Jaff, Alex Hughes, James R. Tuck, and Alex Bledsoe. Whew. In addition to authors, we have people from the world of publishing itself. Returning this year is Paul Stevens, editor from Tor. We also have Tony Weisskopf, the publisher of Bain Books, and Deb Dixon from Bellbridge Books is going to be here as in the editorial world. And we even have agents this year, with Eddie Schneider from Jabberwocky Agency and Adalis Seymour from About Words Agency. So lots of good people to meet this year at the writer's track. So just quick highlights. In particular, tonight at 8:30, we're having JordanCon's first ever writers workshop, our writers roundtable, which is going to be a bit of a meet and greet, peer review, professional review. A lot of our guests are going to be there, and there's a sign up out front, but you don't have to sign up. That's just to give me a head count. So if you have 5 pages you'd like to have some thoughts on and looks at, come out and check it out. It's going to be in the boardroom across from the bar. And that's really the big thing I'm going to go at. So I cut it down short for you, Leah. That's okay. You're welcome.
Round of applause, please, for Mr. Fife. We're never going to give you up, Richard. All right. Next thing. Next, I am very pleased to announce that JordanCon 5 has been selected as the site of the 51st annual Deep South Con, which honors Southern writers and fans in science fiction and fantasy. And I think that's a pretty good fit, considering we are here in honor of one of the South's most famous fantasy authors, Robert Jordan, in case you forgot. To tell you a little bit more about it, please give a warm welcome to Gary Robe, the chair of Deep South Con 52.
Hi, it's really nice to be at a convention where you're meeting a lot of people, and it makes you think, how in the world did this ever come about? How did we manage to find all these people? Science fiction fandom began in the letter columns of the pulp magazines back in the 30s. People that didn't even know each other face to face were trading letters in a magazine. They began to come together, and science fiction fandom began to have conventions in the late 30s. It was a little bit later, but back 51 years ago now, there was the first Southern Science Fiction Convention, which actually happened in Dave Hewlin's house in Huntsville, Alabama. It's grown a little bit since then, but for now, for 51 years, there has been a Southern, Deep South Con, which has the interesting characteristic of being a convention that moves from city to city, place to place. So back in the early days, it was to give people from different parts of the area to be able to participate in a convention without having to drive a great distance, and it was also so that the burden of running the convention didn't fall on one group of people. So this is a tradition that's gone on for many years now. And last year, the Deep South Con was at Huntsville for its 50th year anniversary. And JordanCon, there's also a tradition of combining the Deep South Con with other ongoing conventions to try and get a little bit of cross-fertilization and to get different groups of fans who would normally possibly not have any interaction to actually meet each other. So I think that's a good thing. Next year it will be in Bristol, Virginia. So it's the first year that Deep South Con has ever been in Virginia. There's flyers out there, but we'll be happy to inform you about that. But anyway, the other thing about the Deep South Con is that it does have awards, which are given out and by the convention committee. And these are to recognize fans and writers who have made something of their, have made a contribution to Southern fandom. And so the Rebel Award is given to a fan, someone who has done something to get fandom organized in the South. Because believe me, these things just don't happen spontaneously. It's not a flash mob, you know. It does take somebody to do something. So whether it's a local science fiction club or some friends getting together or something, someone has to get this thing rolling. And so that's one reason why we have this the Rebel Award. The Phoenix Award is for a writer, a professional who has contributed somewhat, or contributed to this field of science fiction, but is also a Southerner. So this is to encourage and acknowledge the special flavor and characteristics of Southern fandom. Because if you go around to conventions in other parts of the country, you'll find out that Southern hospitality is something real and is something that we all share in, and does not necessarily translate to a convention. Not that they're not good, but there's something special about Southern conventions, and so we like to celebrate that. And so that's the reason why we have a Deep South Con. There'll be a business meeting on Sunday morning where there will be an election for anybody that wants to bid for Deep South Con 54 in 2 years from now. Okay? Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe. The Deep South Con Awards ceremony will be at 5:30 p.m. tomorrow here in Great Oaks, immediately following the Memory of Light panel. And the traditional Hearts tournament will be held at 1 p.m. tomorrow in Goulding AB. Our Hodgepodge track, which that is a part of, also features several panels concerning Southern fandom, so be sure to check those out. And in addition to that, there will be a reading by Brandon Sanderson tomorrow at 11:30 from his upcoming new young adult book, The Arithmetist. so that should be fun. And in addition, the Hodgepodge track will feature panels on art, costumes, and sword fighting, as well as several live recordings by the Fourth Age podcast, which will include interviews with Team Jordan on Sunday at 11:30 a.m. And I'm in the one on Saturday, just in case you want to know. Okay. Then we have the potpourri track. What was I going to put? You know, potpourri. Which is full of discussions about everything that is not strictly Wheel of Time. They'll feature guest panels like the Young Adult and Urban Fantasy panels on Saturday, and the Steampunk panel on Sunday, where many of our author guests will be discussing what makes those genres so compelling. They will be hosting all of the publishers who came to the con, giving them a full panel hour to tell us what's coming up from their companies. These usually come with free books, so they can save on overweight baggage fees at the airport. So those are really good panels to visit. There will also be fan panels on topics like The Way of Kings, Once Upon a Time, and King Arthur. So there's a little bit of everything. So, and please thank the course potpourri track director, Tiff Franklin. And last but certainly not least, we have our gaming track, which will be continuing a couple of JordanCon traditions. The annual Magic the Gathering tournament, which is at 9 p.m. tomorrow, and the Shanchen Hold'em tournament, which is at 8:30 tonight. And this year, as mentioned, we also have the Hearts tournament for Deep South Con. All gaming takes place in Goulding A, which will be open for free gaming anytime there is not a scheduled event. Space for gaming is on a first-come, first-served basis, except for the Wheel of Time and Mistborn RPG sessions, which have already been scheduled. Please don't forget that all proceeds from the Shanchen Hold'em tournament will go to the Mayo Clinic for amyloidosis research, so do participate if you can. And please, let's all give a hand to the director of the gaming track, John Hansen. And in case you're still not completely afflicted with indecision over what to do this weekend, here are a couple more events. Tonight at 8:30 p.m. we are hosting our second JordanCon karaoke. Which should be stupid amounts of fun, so which you might see me singing at, which should be something. So there's that. And then there is tomorrow at 7 p.m. the costume contest, which will be hosted by yours truly and judged by some random people named Harriet, Maria, and Brandon. The contest is open to all JordanCon attendees. However, there are only 25 slots, but a group counts as one slot. So if you're in a group, that's one slot, but there are only 25, so the sign-up is at the registration desk. So if you do plan to participate, please do sign up at the registration desk. And I also do recommend that you wear a costume.
No costume is no costume.
And if you are participating in the contest, you must come to Goulding C at 6:30 p.m. for pre-judging before the actual contest. So there's that. And of course, following the costume contest is the dance hall. You can blame Chris Lau at Tour.com for that. It was too hilarious, I had to include it. So, the Dance Hall of the Tower is tomorrow, and attendees are warned there are no sitters at this hall. Music will be provided by the lovely offices of Adomanis Studios. Please join us to drink, laugh, be merry, and bid in our annual silent auction. Again, please note that this year the proceeds of the auction will be donated to the family of David Farland, so please do participate if you can. A couple of other random things you need to know. We have a con suite located on the 7th floor of the hotel. which will provide breakfast items, sodas, snacks, and veggies, as well as lunch and dinner on certain days. For more details on the day's con suite meals, please read and find out via our daily newsletter, The Source, which will be published each day of the con with schedule changes and announcements. The general hours of the con suite are today from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Sunday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., or generally till whenever the food is gone. And I have the last few words before we wrap this up, but first I want to quickly acknowledge the members of the JordanCon staff who we have not yet introduced or acknowledged, because they are all awesome, amazing people who deserve their props. So if you're here, and yes, you can stand up as I say your names. First, our con vice chair, James Liang. Board members, Aubrey Pham, Jason Denzel, and Matt Hatch. Operations Director, Rachel Little. She's not in here, but she's awesome. And also her team of Christy Lucier, Sarah Nakamura, Sharon Little, and Bill Harrison. Programming Director, Bao Pham. Main Track Director, Susan Martin. And then also for Finance, Christopher Seibert. Charity Events, Jamie Seibert. Publications, Ben Gunderson. Shannon Lieb, the editor for The Source. Webmaster, Kelsey Kaysen. Media Relations, Stone Sanchez. Videographer, Steve Godecki. And of course, my lovely assistant over here on AV, Jay Dauro. None of this would be possible without all these wonderful people, so please do give them their props if you see them over the weekend, which I'm sure you will. Okay. And now if you'll indulge... Not that you haven't already been doing that for the last however long, but I want to talk for a minute about the series that has brought us all here today, or rather, what that series has wrought. Just about everyone in this room has their own story about how they discovered the Wheel of Time and the ways in which it's touched their lives. In the past 4 years, and honestly for a long time before that, I have often had cause to talk about this series and what it has meant to me. So some, or maybe all of you, have heard this story in various iterations before, but on this singular occasion, I will ask for your forbearance and let me tell it again. So in the depths of internet history, before a lot of people, including myself, really even knew it existed, there was a thing called Usenet. Usenet has a long and very interesting, and by now mostly over, history. But the important thing to know about it for our purposes is that it was, among many other things, the beginning of internet fandom as we know it today. Everything from web forums to LiveJournal to Tumblr are the spiritual descendants of the rec groups, as they were called. And among the many, many rec groups that were created to discuss art, music, movies, television, games, whatever, there was one particular news group called Rec Arts SF Written Robert Jordan, or RASFORGE for short, which even today is a title that I can type without pausing. The Robert Jordan newsgroup has the distinction of being, as far as I know, the first Usenet newsgroup in the rec art hierarchy that was entirely devoted to discussing the works of one particular author, namely Robert Jordan, which was unheard of at the time. It was created when the denizens of Rec Arts SF Written got sick of the unending avalanche of Wheel of Time related discussion that occurred every time a new Robert Jordan book was released. And they insisted Watt fans go and find their own space to geek out about it, which they did. And so the stage was set for when I stumbled haphazardly onto Usenet around 1998 or so, having just finished A Crown of Swords and being absolutely desperate to find someone to talk to about this completely ridiculously amazing series that no one in my meat space really seemed to give a crap about. And what I found, though it took me a while to really fully realize it, was not just a random group of people, geeks, yelling about who killed Asmodean. Well, they were that, but what they also were was something I had never really found before, which was a group of people who regardless of who they were or where they came from or what they did for a living or what their beliefs were, they were nevertheless kindred souls. They were people who got it. They understood why science fiction and fantasy was awesome, and why this fantasy series in particular made me want to jump up and down and talk about it and argue about it and theorize about it and squee about it, to revel in it, in other words. They were fans, and so I discovered was I. And inspired by the series that had brought us together, we called ourselves not friends, but dark friends, which in the purest tradition of fandom was a term that we appropriated from the work that we loved and made it our own. We were not friends of the dark, but we were friends with each other, and we were, after all, a little dark. Usenet has since mostly died, but the core group of Rasberg's Dark Friends has remained shockingly intact, migrating from Open Diary to LiveJournal to various other forums. My father passed away very suddenly in 2007, very shortly after Robert Jordan's untimely passing, in fact. There's obviously never a good time for something like that to happen, but in my case it was particularly painful. I literally just moved to New York City the week before, and I was in fact standing in the midst of a sea of boxes when I got the phone call. And in the chaos that inevitably followed, the only thing I managed to do before flying home to deal with the funeral and the estate and all that stuff that you never want to deal with, I posted a very brief note on my LiveJournal to the effect that my father had died and I was going home to New Orleans for the funeral. And I basically left it at that, and I didn't really give it any more thought, probably understandably given the circumstances. A few days later, I was at the funeral home making sure everything was set up, and my aunt was going around the room looking at all the flowers and reading the cards, And suddenly she said, "The Dark Friends? Who are the Dark Friends?" And I remember I literally gasped and ran over to where she was, and there on one of the largest bouquets in the room was the card that said, "We are so sorry for your loss. Love, the Dark Friends." And they had tracked it down and sent that to me, and it would be difficult to express how much that meant to me at that moment, and how much it continues to mean to me. These are people who started as kindred souls, moved on to being friends, and they're now what I consider family. And I'm pretty sure that most or all of us here have a similar story, because otherwise we wouldn't be here. As my dark friend Zainab once put it, "I came for the books, I stayed for the people." We are here because we love the Wheel of Time, but we are also here because we love being fans of the Wheel of Time. We love discussing it, we love arguing about it, we love making costumes or jewelry or paintings in homage to it. And what marks a work of art, in my not so humble opinion, is not that people see it or read it or hear it, but that having seen it or heard it or read it, they then become desperate to share it. And that, I think, is a legacy that any author can be proud of, either to begin or to finish. So we are here this weekend to celebrate a great moment, the long-awaited completion of the series, which has enthralled us for over 2 decades, with its epic story, its dizzying scope, and its ability to speak to us despite that scope of the small, individual, but desperately important choices that we must all make as human beings. We are here for that, but we were also here to celebrate that the ending of that series is just the beginning for us. Because as you may have heard, there are neither beginnings nor endings to the Wheel of Time. So here's to Robert Jordan, and here's to Team Jordan, and here's to the beginning of a beautiful dark friendship. And to sum it all up, there's only really one other thing I can say. Thank you, and welcome to JordanCon. Okay, so that's the end, and you can all go home now. No, I'm kidding. Next is the hour with the guest of honor here. Author guest of honor. Is it where? Oh, it's in Golden Gate. It's not in here.